going over all with you just really quick what the unboxing experience is like, which is to say it isn't really, because it's not really an unboxing experience, honestly. These things are a joke now. All right, so let me quickly go over the unboxing of the Z Fold 7 experience before I start showing you my impressions of it. 'Cause I haven't seen any of the major tech tubers talk about this, so I feel like I gotta weigh in with this version. So I put this video at 2 times speed. I meant to actually uh, turn this into its own video, but I'm out of time, so I'm just gonna be playing. This is the raw footage, okay, of the video. So I was unboxing it, and I feel this was very lazy of Samsung because when you see it, if you noticed, I immediately took out my other phone because I wanted to compare it. I've already done a comparison at Best Buy. That's all there is to the box. So let me pause it right there. I thought that was ridiculous. That they went a little lazier in the packaging than ever before. So when I took out the box, I thought I had accidentally pulled out the inner. There's like an inner packaging that contains all the documents. It contains, I think, the USB Type C cable and a SIM ejector tool. So I thought I took that all out of the box. No, 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 no. They actually lined up that package to sit on top of the bottom box, and then you just put the entire thing on top of that too. So it looks thicker in packaging than it is, but it's a little cumbersome because they didn't even fit it into the inner liner. So when you take it out, it'll, depending on how you take it out, that box is gonna fly out. Just letting you know, because normally, if I wasn't doing this over a desk, my concern was that if I had opened this thing, that infamous video of this dude that got one of the first iPhones, I forget what generation, and he just walked out of the store, then he pulled open the box, the phone flew out. That's almost what could have happened, and this thing is an over $2,000 phone. So shame on Samsung for even doing that, because I thought that was very insecure way to package a phone. So that's one level of laziness that I didn't like. So but as soon as I took it out, I immediately just put my other phone next to it because I wanted to see the color contrast, because I haven't seen the silver, and I'm not entirely happy about the silver, which I'll tell you. So right here, I'm doing a quick comparison. I'm taking off the papers that come on it, so it's not plastic anymore that lines the front. If you noticed lately, they've been doing the cardboard with the sticker on it. It gets the job done. Whatever, I don't really care, but it just takes away that ASMR thing that we used to do when we would just peel the sticker off. So I'm just doing a quick sizing up thing, and I'm gonna be going through this a little more in depth. And let me just get to the later part of the video. There's the crease, which is a little annoying. We'll see it better now. And that's about much. I was gonna do an entire unboxing of this thing, and unfortunately, not anymore because I'm out of time. So we're gonna move on to. Let me get my other background here. So we're gonna do this again for the long shot. All right, so here are both devices. To the right is the 7, and to the left is the 6. This is the Fold lineup. For those of you unfamiliar, I have used foldables for years now. I have the Surface Duo. It's not in frame, but yes, it's right here. It's still wearing the bumper. I never got the Duo 2. I didn't really like the Duo 2. It was trying to be too many things, and I like what the first one was. I also had the Pixel Fold, one of the worst foldables I ever owned. The first generation fold Pixel Fold. Also, which one else did I have? Well, the first Samsung foldable that I got was the Z Fold 3. Okay, so 3, and here we are at 7. The sizing differences, almost from a distance, do not seem all that obvious. I can definitely tell you that it is an enormous difference. They just don't look at it at first glance because they almost look like the same size. But if I put it like this, yeah. But as soon as I actually line up from edge to edge, you see there's another inch or two. Let me just zoom this in a little more. Okay, see, that is a massive difference when it comes to content consumption on a diagonal experience for the inner screen, and also for, it's just the front display. So let me fold this up real quick. And I do have the always on display on, just that this thing, yeah, that protruding massive camera there is just absolutely annoying. But let me just turn this out. Okay, so I will explain how I treated these a little differently, but let me just go back to the long shot. Okay. So when it comes to the creases, a major improvement has been done when it comes to like reducing the glare that you get. Now this is off a little angle. You probably noticed that I have a light source from just right up here, so this phone is actually in an angle because of this massive bump. So it'll be, this is more like it, and this is more like it. Okay, so which crease looks more obvious to you? Okay, that would, to me, because of my perspective, the 6 looks like a more obvious crease than the 7. Now I did carry, this being the bulkier phone, I did carry the case for it that gave me the S Pen ability. Unfortunately, there is no S Pen ability with this one, and that is a major gripe of mine, as I'll discuss a little more when my impressions on this. But when it comes to the thickness and thinness of the device and the weight distribution, we're talking about a much bigger phone, a much lighter frame, and a much lighter device overall, especially because of the weight distribution. This guy feels like a chunker. And I compared the 6 to the 3, and the 3 felt like a chunker compared to this guy. And I did go for the 6 because I knew that for the 7, they were going to do something like this, where they were finally going to make the big iteration and move on from basically iterative updates when it comes to these foldables. Because in the United States, there isn't much of any competition when it comes to foldables. Yeah, we have the Pixel lineup, but that when you're talking about like a very bulky brick of a device, it didn't call to attention that that's the phone that I really want to carry. Even though the ratio might have made more sense, it was just a very bulky device. I never felt confident carrying it, and it was a very delicate device too. You guys should check out Zach's breakdown of the device so you can see for yourself. And when the refined version of the 6 came out and people were saying this isn't that big of a deal over a 5, actually I disagreed big time. It was a smaller footprint, a little bit heavier, at least my experience from what I felt, but it was overall a smaller device that I was able to utilize, and I liked the design was more consistent with the Ultra lineup. So I did end up getting it. I ended up using it and ended up enjoying it because I do believe that Samsung has a better optimizations for using a bigger canvas. Okay, so when they released that special edition Korean model that was only in South Korea and I think some areas of China, then we already knew what to expect for the 7. And for that one didn't have any water or dust rating, and it didn't have any S Pen support. So I already anticipated that they might do that. I was just crossing my fingers and hoping that they wouldn't. But everything that we learned from with the Note, with the Ultra, 25 Ultra, S25 Ultra, it just basically was going that direction. Like, oh, you guys not going to use it anyway. But still, give me the option to do it. Okay, so there are some software quirks I do not like that didn't translate. Let me tell you the positives though. The positives was that this was the easiest foldable for me to set up because moving from the Z Fold 6 to the Z Fold 7 using Smart Switch, I did not transfer my apps over, but then I realized I should have done so just because it was going to take much longer to set up the phone. So afterwards, I went back to Smart Switch and I just said, just transfer my apps. But I purposely did not transfer my home screen settings. That I delayed a bit. So once I got those in, once I got all my apps in, then I went over once again to Smart Switch, which did it in about 5 minutes, and I put transfer my home screen settings because this one has two separate home screen settings. That'd be the front display and then the inner display. So you can rearrange things. And when I transferred the S24 Ultra over to this, it was a pain in the butt because I had to recreate everything for both screens. So being able to do so from this to this was so simple. At that point, I just had to log into my stuff again where applicable. So that was a seamless experience in terms of setting up the device. There are some apps though that did not carry over. Some of you probably know this. Let me just do this off screen real quick. Okay. All right. So let me unlock it there. And let me do this one too. This is the part that I found frustrating. Okay. This one I will zoom in. Just let me just zoom in real quick. All right. The difference is right here. I could not get the APK from Samsung's video app. Just sure open it up. Okay. Samsung's video app to pull up and install. So I did various different attempts on how to be able to get that over. It looks like I'm dropping frames on the second camera. Hopefully that corrects itself. And I couldn't do that here. It wouldn't let me. So I ended up having to put there the VLC player. It's dropping frames. It's annoying. Anyway, so I ended up doing that, and I have to use VLC, and I don't mind using VLC because it does do the tent mode, the flex mode, just like the video part did over here. A lot of the on-screen controls that I enjoyed from the Samsung video app are in VLC, but it's just a more how do I explain it? It's more of the Samsung experience when using it with the Samsung app. Now, while technically there is a way for you to get a shortcut for the video, let me see, I'll pull it up here. It just requires a lot of button pushing. Okay. So if you go to the gallery and you hit video, if you go over to the three buttons at the top for the settings, you can put add to home screen, and then it'll just add like a shortcut to it. But the problem is it won't show you anything in folders. It's going to show you all of your videos, no text description of what those videos are. And I'm like, then what's the point? So that is something I didn't like, because let me see if I still have the APK and you can see what error code it was giving me. Okay, let me go installation files. No, it's not there. All right, there it is. So this was the APK file that I got from my other devices. So when I tried doing so, it says, do you want to install this app? When I hit install, I said, go ahead. This app not installed as package appears to be invalid. No, it's not invalid because it had no problem setting up on my previous devices. It just has a problem setting up on the Z Fold 7. And when I backed up the app from the 6 to transfer over to the 7, it didn't. So that's been my gripe with that, in that some things didn't carry over, and I think Samsung's blocking it on purpose, which I found as a bummer. And that just made me wonder, what else are they blocking with their UI, if that's exactly what it is they're doing? Because have any of you noticed that the Samsung messaging app is not by default when you fire up these devices? Let me switch this. So it's not by default. I had to install it, but when I installed it, it wouldn't let me use it as a default. Oh, and speaking of installed apps, for some reason, as I try to install right now for you guys the video app, it said that you want to install it. Other times it would say, do you want to update it? Like, what? Apparently, the app is embedded into the deep settings of the OS. It's just that it opens up as a video player to gallery, which requires a bunch of other steps. I find that annoying because like you have to view it on like on video and then hit edit, and then you open the editor. It's annoying. So I haven't liked that. That feels like extra steps to do the same thing that was a lot easier before. So I don't know what's going on. Apple and Samsung have dropped the ball when it comes to the gallery experience. And I did update just about everything that I have, from my MacBook Pros to my iPhones to my Apple Watch, to my iPads. I updated everything to the public beta that were applicable, and I'll be giving you my feedback on that, because while I'm glad I'm done with that freaking gallery photos app that was just a disgrace, I am not entirely liking the design that they're going with. It's a little annoying. So anyway, as I was saying, back to this. So there's some things that I had to kind of force on this device. And even when I installed the messaging app, the default Samsung messaging app, because it wants you to use the Google messaging app, it wouldn't let you set it as default. You have to allow the restricted app usage and then be able to set up as default. Those, what the hell? It's like, I didn't have all those extra steps when I did that for the 6, because on the 6, I had to install the messaging app and not want to use the Google one. But on this one, it's been hindering a lot more of the default Samsung experience. So I'm confused as to what exactly Samsung and Google have been agreeing to. Because contrary, unpopular opinion, I actually like Bixby. It's been a little while, but I like Bixby. And you know what? The irony about all those AI assistants and then the voice assistants is that our complaints about Bixby, Siri, Google, and Alexa was that they wouldn't hear us right. And now we have AI, and now they're too good at hearing us. And like, oh, what the hell? You know, it's like you'll never satisfy everybody. That's all I gotta say to that. And I will be doing an episode just on that. But back to the positives. Some people were talking about the colors that are available for the Z Fold 7. This is the what they call the silver shadow. There's the I think it's onyx black, and then there's that blue one, the hero color. I didn't care for the blue one, even though it's nice to see. I just didn't care for it. The black one, pretty standard stuff, executive, so I didn't go for it. I was happy that they had silver. That's why I took it out immediately to compare it, because this is the matte white finish that I've been using for several years now, with the exception of the S24 Ultra, which was the titanium, just the regular titanium color. My favorite color is silver. And that's why I've enjoyed using this one more than the other because of that. Now, what I any of you guys have seen Michael Fisher's Mr. Mobile himself video? He's dropped this phone several times, so I already knew it was going to be a slippery device because it just sits at an awkward angle because of this protruding camera hump. But it is a super slippery device, so I was forced to go buy one of those stupid half cases because there was really nothing available out there. Spigen did have the better options available when it came to like a clear case. 'Cause I didn't want to cover this up. I didn't want to get a D-brand skin because like, I want to see the color. That's why I got it. But a half cover is insane. And I don't have it on me. But if you see the packaging that this thing came in, it's one of the biggest boxes. It's bigger than the phone box pretty much. And just like my complaints about the unboxing for the phone, it's probably worse for this because when you take it out, it comes with a little stand for you to hold the phone in place while you apply the two included screen protectors that are in there. So this is wearing a screen protector. It looks a little bit anti-reflective, but not so much. This is kind of misdirection because it's the always on display. But this is such a skinny screen protector. I felt it was tacked on as a joke. So I'm like, okay, you guys couldn't do anything a little thicker? Say, oh, but the thinness of the device, because it kind of preserves the thinness of the device, kind of like those later cases that Lou has from Unbox Therapy. I almost got one, by the way, but I just don't like that you can't take off the camera cover. You have to get it as an all-in-one. Like, oh, that's ugly. So I didn't go for it. So there were really no good case options for these devices, at least the book folding ones. So just be wary of that. I've been very disappointed to experience that because I did like that there were more case options when it came to the six, because I did have the leather case, I had the clear case, and I that had the hand grip, and I also had the S Pen one. Oh, and by the way, you might see some cases for the Z Fold 7 that includes an S Pen holder. Bull crap. Okay, they're just trying to jip you, so don't. Anywho, I needed to get this because very early on, I was very concerned because the S24 Ultra is one of the strongest screens I've ever used. This thing immediately got scratches on this, and I still don't know how that happened. That's why I'm like, nope, I'm not only getting a case, I'm also going to apply that screen protector that comes in there. And it was a very cumbersome fix, a zag. I'm probably going to replace it with the zag screen protector. They're so much easier to put on and much more reliable. And because there's no S Pen support, it's not going to interfere. Because I normally didn't put that on any S24 or any Ultra device or any Note devices because the screen protectors got in the way of the S Pen. So just letting you guys know that this has been definitely a much better experience to use. It just feels right with the ratio of what this one was. It was very thin overall, but just that little bit just gives it a full like an actual correct ratio, aspect ratio of a phone to use. And it's a very solid hinge. Some people complain that it's harder to open. Might be, but I absolutely love the how much more industrial this feels, how much more solid it feels. And I would actually, aside from the screen scratches here, this has actually been one of the most durable products I've ever used. I dropped it on asphalt, concrete, like hard falls, and you'd be hard pressed to find any of the damages. You could feel it when you rub your finger around it, but this armor aluminum thing, if it's supposedly the new generation is stronger than that, and I thought this would probably break easier because it's not titanium. I've been very impressed, and I really have high hopes for this. But this actually feels like you're holding onto a phone. It's not as thick as the other one, and it's the closest thing that I have seen to. Let me bring out the guest appearance here of the Surface Duo. So this is wearing a bumper. Let me get this one out of the way here. So this is wearing a bumper, okay? But I want you to see, we're talking about a much wider device. If the Surface Duo had actually filled out the screens here instead of, because you have actually big head and chins here, so the screen's actually like this big. It's a lot smaller. So a much better comparison would be like the Pixel Fold. But this has always been my favorite go-to. The Surface Pen does work with this, so I use it for OneNote and all that. Yes, I still use this device. And contrary to others, I didn't care if there weren't any cameras in the back or that didn't have a front-facing screen. When you open it, you would get like a preview right here, your contacts and stuff. Those little touches were so good because this is an absolute PDA of a device that I just loved using, just that you could do phone calls with it. So if you were concerned about the cameras being on, close the phone. That's it. There's nothing else to worry about. But of course, Microsoft abandoned any further development on it. So there have been some people that actually installed Windows 11 on it, and I've been waiting for them to actually get some things working before I actually try it myself. So I might do that, just not yet. So one of the impressive things about the Surface Duo was just how absolutely thin it was, because before anything else, the Surface Duo was the first device that was almost as thick as a USB Type-C port. That's why one of the early complaints of the Surface Duo were that the port would break because there was really no what's this? Okay, there were people that were there was not much of a frame to hold it with, so it would break. So let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's how thin this thing was. The difference between the Surface Duo and the Samsung is that this is actually two different glass displays. So this is actually glass, not some plastic or just very thin glass that on the Samsung. And it's held by this hinge. And this hinge is pretty solid, by the way. The early ones had like issues where they would kind of bump out of place. But look at, let's talk about the engineering feat of Samsung now. The first iteration of the Duo was just so impressive, but it technically, I think the 7 is a little bit thinner than the Surface Duo. But when it comes to like writing with the stylus, the Duo was always the better experience. But if you'll notice, it was a little closer because let me turn it on so you guys can see. Okay, so I'm gonna boot this up. Too much reflection. Better look at the color here. Silver, finally, man. Just good to see a silver phone. Let's see if this thing's on. Almost. It's a pretty spiffy device. I really like it. Nice. Like I said, I still use it. It was half-baked software. I wish it did get at least Android 13, but they stopped at Android 12L. And no more security updates after August 2023, I think it was. So yeah, this thing was abandoned very early on. But it was a potential of what could be. That's why I liked this device. So there you see the top chin and the bottom. If they had stretched out the screens, it would have been a lot better, but they didn't. They tried to do that for the second iteration. The only camera we got was the one here in the front, and then the flash, which was an okay camera, 9 megapixels, but I like that you can just close it and that's it. Any notifications would pop up here on the side and you could see it here. It's kind of like the BlackBerry Playbook days where you just swipe a little bit and then you can see a preview of notifications. That was really genius. But if you'll notice, by the way, this is not an official color of the Surface. This is a sticker that I put on it, because the Surface Duo was actually more like this, a white color, but I've always been a fan of silver, and I've installed this silver. It looks like a silver aluminum skin, and now I have something in that color. So when it comes to competition on foldables here in the United States, technically it would just be um, the OnePlus and Pixel don't care, and it doesn't look like the 10 is going to be all that much better. Then in the case of OnePlus, I did like how their Oxygen OS kind of splits it in the experience where you could split into three, kind of like an infinite way, where you can move the canvas around, but it missed the productivity-ness that Samsung has. Because I'm coming from the business perspective, from the business world. I use Dex, I use the S Pen. What we're seeing play out with Samsung, it feels very reminiscent of what was happening in an inverse relationship with BlackBerry. BlackBerry was the business world, and they were trying to cater to the consumers, and that's kind of was their downfall because they couldn't catch up to consumers. And here, instead, we have Samsung that dealt with consumers trying to enter the business world, and then the power users, which were those really running businesses, got so used to it that you start pulling things away. We start looking for replacements for those things because we didn't want another consumer device. So that's kind of where we got left in a place, because this is supposed to be everything in the kitchen sink. Or at least the Note lineup, that's what it was, and then the Ultra lineup that ended up turning into now being stripped away to being no better than just a more expensive flagship like anything that Apple has or anything that Google has. There's nothing special the way the Samsung's going with this. But those concerns about maybe DeX being done away, it's still here, and the fact that they actually implemented some of it into the Flip finally, even though it's running Exynos, that's interesting because there's also, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. There is some coding that was found in one of the devices in the Far East Asia. I think it was for the China audience, called Auto Dex. So it looks like an Android Auto version of Dex. It's assumed that's what it is, and it might break into the China market, which would be very interesting to see, because that means that maybe there will be some development for this. But the R&D department, if they're trying to lean somewhere, they're getting rid of S Pen stuff. They better not get rid of that on those tablets, because then that'll really be suicide. But let's say this happens with the long rumored, now moved up forward in schedule production of the Apple folding phone. If they bring that out, and if it is supposed to be a book folding device, not a clamshell, and they finally bring Apple Pencil support, who do you think will have the upper hand with the business users and the power users? It's going to be Apple. And Samsung is letting go of their lead. So I find that pathetic that they gone to that route. Maybe they just wanted to test this out, and maybe in the eighth generation they'll bring some pen support. I don't like that though, because I wanted it now, not later. But like I said, anybody that saw the special Korea and China model that they brought out of this device last year already knew what we could expect for this year. Like, so there it is. But overall, my experience with this device in the past 3 days that I've been using it, I have been enjoying it. It feels like a phone, finally. It's not as big as the S24 Ultra. It's not as thick as an S24 Ultra, but it is as heavy as an S24 Ultra. But once you have this and you open it all up, it just feels like a very light device overall. And everybody has used it, just becomes so impressed. But that's because this was the market that Samsung just needed to just take, because in the international market, they have more competition. Over here, it's theirs for the taking. There is no other competition in the foldable space, really, than Samsung. That's why all eyes are on Apple, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I did not intend for this video to become so much of an impressions of this, but it just has so much to say about it, because it has been quite a journey to get here from the 3, because I've been using the 3. I use the Duo. I don't have it here anymore, but the Pixel Fold. I traded in the Pixel Fold for the Pixel 6. I mean, for the Fold 6, because these are expensive devices, and the 7 is a lot more expensive than the 6. And one of my major gripes is that I have 1 terabyte of data in this device, but on this one, on the silver, the max you can get is 512 gigabytes. So that's half the memory I got on the white one. If you want the 1 terabyte memory bank on the 7, you have to pick the blue or the black one. So I'm disappointed that they did that. because I really wanted the silver and I chose to go with the silver, and I'm trading in my 6 to get the silver. I just needed to see if I was really gonna like it. So while I don't like the accessories choices available right now, I have been like, okay, fine, I can find a way to live without the S Pen for now.